This week's episode is sponsored by NI Baby Scan. Thanks to their state-of-the-art equipment, NI Baby Scan offers expectant parents the chance to get a little closer to their little one. Scans include an early pregnancy scan to reassure, a dating scan to more accurately predict a due date, a gender scan to determine the sex of the baby, and a 3D or 4D scan to see their baby in amazing detail. To find out more, check out their website www.nibabyscan.com or call them on 07 887 630 739. Hello everyone and welcome back for the 10th episode of Nugget Don't Fly. This is a Brad Roberts special interview. How are you, sir?
All well, thanks boys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. And always Graham Crawford and Ollie Webber with us. How are you, gentlemen?
We're good. We're having a good time, so very excited.
Yeah, very excited as well for Brad. Seems like an interesting man.
We'll get started with our traditions. Graham, what are you drinking?
I've just got a pint of juice. I think it's pomegranate or something, so quite nice.
Myself, I'm on the homemade IPA. It's a bit dodgy, but yeah, it's not bad. Brad, what about yourself?
Let me just disclaimer: the boys peer pressured me into having a white claw. It's my drink of choice, but I felt under pressure, so I'm having a white claw with the boys.
Yeah. Ew.
And Ollie, what are you guys on?
Well, sure, it's the 10th episode, so I'm on a Smirnoff Seltzer, orange and grapefruit. So found that in the fridge. Peer pressure as well came into play there. So peer pressure.
Right, We'll get stuck into the questions here. So Brad, for anyone who doesn't really follow Ulster Rugby, can you tell us a bit about yourself and how you got to the position you're in at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm Brad Roberts. I joined Ulster in November 2020, basically just as injury cover. And got my first cap 2 weeks after that, and things moved on pretty swiftly from there, and ended up playing my way into a contract for the 2021-22 season. So but before that, I took the road less traveled as a professional rugby player. I mean, I came over to just play for a club in Nugget called Rainy Old Boys in 2017. Didn't know much about Ireland, was just going through the motions a bit at university in South Africa, and I was playing a bit of social rugby, but nothing serious. And I've always wanted to play rugby as a living, you know. So I thought this may be like a foot in the door. It wasn't. Ulster weren't looking at me back then, so it was just literally come over and try and make things happen. And came over 2017, played the first half of that season and tore my ACL, and that put me out for a whole year. So I missed the end of that season, the beginning of the 2018-2019 season. It was sort of a blessing in disguise actually, because I was a bit small as a hooker. I've always had the skills, but size has always been against me. So I just took some time and put in a hard graft in the gym, and I put on a bit of size and got into the shape I've always thought I needed to be in to be a professional rugby player. And played the next half of that 2018-2019 season, and we did really well. We got promoted. Charlie Clark was in that team. There's a couple boys there. It was class. That promotion against Blackrock was one of the best nights of my life. And then then the next season came along and played 2/3 of the season. Then the pandemic hit, so I went home just because I didn't want to be stuck in Ireland with nothing to do. I'd rather be home with my family, and it obviously went on a lot longer than we expected. I mean, it's still going on now, but I was only supposed to go home for 2 or 3 months, and then it ended up being closer to 6 months. So and I had a great lockdown. I know people are suffering, but I had an amazing time. All my friends are back home, so we just went wild every weekend, and it was class. Then coming back, I was supposed to actually be going to play in the Welsh Prem last season, well, for this season, but they they were very like they didn't know when things were going to open up there, and they didn't know when the season was starting, and things were looking a bit better in Ireland. So like Rainey got a hold of me and was like, "Listen, would you be interested in coming to play for us while you wait to go to Wales, just to fill the gap a bit, get a bit rugby fit?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" You know. Came back and played a couple pre-season games. It was going well. Still very unfit. Still was running off my 5-month holiday in South Africa. And then when the second or third lockdown hit, I got a call from my Rainy Boys coach John Andrews, who said, "Listen, Ulster have got a hold of him and have identified me as the next in line as injury cover. If someone gets injured, I'd be in the mix." And I was like, "Well, that's good news, but it's not really the news I want. You know, I want to be in there. You know." So I was like, I wasn't really holding much hopes. And then literally 2 weeks later, Brent Cunningham phoned me and was like, "Listen, there's been an injury, obviously to one of our hookers, and we need you to come in." Pardon?
Who was it that got injured?
Tom Stewart did his hamstring. So he was like one of the younger boys, but still, they need as many hookers as they can, because obviously during these times, you never know what might happen. Someone might test positive, and they still need to be able to field the team. So I did my you have to do a little isolation, and then I went in the mix, and 2 weeks later I played my first game. So it was fun.
It's class.
You're definitely you're not a fill-in anymore. You're quite the icon already.
I think it's got something to do with the mullet. I don't know.
It certainly doesn't hurt anyway.
I love it.
Just going back to South Africa briefly there. What's the rugby culture in South Africa compared to Ireland? Would it be bigger, smaller? Like, are there any competing sports? Or
it's a lot bigger in the school, like in the age grade rugby. Like schoolboy rugby in South Africa is a massive thing. Like it's such a big deal. You get loads of spectators every week, and the rivalries are way more hectic. Like obviously here, when it comes to like things like the Schools Cup, and it's well supported and people are interested. But I think that there's just, in general, there's more high quality teams. I'm not saying there's not high quality teams here. I'm saying that there's a lot more of them. Like there's teams that are like super good that you would most good teams would struggle to beat, and then there's the schools below that are always very competitive, and like everyone takes their schoolboy rugby very seriously, and so it's a massive rugby culture. And outside of schoolboy rugby, there's like people are rugby mad, you know, like everyone loves rugby. The only thing that I think hinders South Africa a bit is that there's not as big of a club game. Like that's what I really respect about Ireland, is Ireland have a massive, like the club rugby here is huge, you know, like people love to watch it, and like I don't even want to know how many clubs there are. There's probably hundreds of clubs here. Like it's crazy. But it's different. Like Ireland has its own rugby culture. You know, they're very passionate about their rugby and stuff like that. But South Africa is like rugby crazy. You know, like it's and they always want to be doing well. You know what I mean? Like if the South African team's not doing well, like people will be upset. You know what I mean?
Yeah, higher expectations.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we were kind of going to touch on this in a later question, but it's a good time for it. Whenever you watch the sort of Super Rugby games, there seems to be less of a crowd in actually all the Super Rugby games than there is in. Can you think of any reasons for that? Because I'm sure it's there, but
I think the TV, like the South African like coverage is so good. You know, like. You can get we get all the rugby games in South Africa. Like we get the Pro 14, you get the Premiership, we get the Champion, all the difference. We get all the Super Rugby, you know. So like it was less of a drive. Like people would rather like watch it at their homes, have a couple people around to their houses, have a braai, like have some drinks, and not worry about driving home afterwards. But yeah, like, and also another thing that goes against is the stadiums are huge in South Africa. You know, like. They're all like 60,000 people plus, you know, so it always looks like there's far less people than there actually is, you know. So but I think it's just the comfort of sitting in your like at home to watch it, you know. Whereas here it's a vibe, you know. Like the stadiums are smaller, they're always full. Like people are keen to go to the games, you know. Like it's I don't know what the reasoning behind it is. Maybe it's because it's easy to watch in South Africa at home, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think the vibe of a live game, yeah, people just really enjoy it. You know, a Friday night game, there's a buzz about it. You know.
Yeah, the atmosphere in Kingspan's something else. Like,
Yeah,
so
well, I've been there as a spectator a couple of times, but I've never played in front of a crowd there yet. So I'm looking forward to it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, we're excited to see you now. So you're talking about your South African teams coming into the Pro 14. Which is the one you actually support? And
I'm from Durban, so the Sharks is my team. Yeah, I played a bit of Sharks age grade rugby. I played under 19, like the Craven week, which is like the big week for the provincial teams, and then I played Sharks under 19 as well. So yeah, the Sharks is my team through and through. Like,
yeah, maybe want to
obviously I won't be supporting them now, but yeah, I look forward to playing against them. Put it that way.
Yeah, it'll be fun to play against them for the, I'd say.
Yeah, and the prospect of potentially going home on a tour is like, also
that's
like
nice.
in the back of my mind, you know.
Well, that's unreal.
Yeah.
Free flights home and all that.
Exactly.
So you touched on your rise up through the Rainy O boys, and you mentioned our boy Charlie Clark. Sort of two questions. First of all, the boring one: have you found it a big step up from Rainy? And second of all, just any good stories about from the club, because I've heard there's good nights out down in Matterfeld. So
yeah, the step up has been there. Obviously, there's a big step up in intensity because obviously everyone is a professional athlete. You know, like the pace is way faster. You know, like obviously club rugby is a bit slow and. Like obviously boys don't do it for a living, so they're not all like super fit but physicality wise it hasn't been that much of a step up. Like I would consider myself quite a physical player anyway. So like so I thrive in either conditions because I like smashing boys. But it wasn't hard for me to adjust because I was ready for it, you know, like I was waiting for my chance. And I knew that I would be able to step up because I believe in myself, you know. So, it's been good. I've actually really enjoyed it. I've wanted to like get into an environment where it's just all the time. You can better yourself every single day, you know. Like everything's there for you to become a better player. So that's like one of the biggest pluses for me. I've enjoyed that the most. I'm really enjoying myself at Ulster as well. So it's a good time to be a part of the club as well. There's big aspirations and boys wanting to do well. Like, take for this last weekend, we lost to Leicester. I mean, boys were really bleak. It wasn't good to see, but it was good to see actually because it shows that everyone has ambitions. You know, everyone wants to be winning stuff. You know, no one wants to be losing in semi-finals when we know we're better than that. So that's a positive to take out of the weekend. From our part.
Very exciting.
And then most of the stories from Rainy Boys can't be told on the podcast.
Family friendly.
It's been many a wild night in the clubhouse. The bus trips are every bus trip is one for the books. I can tell you that much. Like the bus trip after we won against Blackrock. It's probably one of the messiest nights of my life. Like we had like all the players, and then like we just had like 30 extra spectators, and like the bus was round. Boys we stopped off at like a little down south and just stocked up with beers. Boys were just swiping and like as much booze as they could get. Far too much. And like it was only in Dublin, so it was only like 2 hours. But the boys, their eyes were bigger than their stomachs. But it was unreal. Boys were just sinking parts. We call every time we play like summertime, we always call it Rona season. Everyone just buys a pile of Coronas, some lime, like a little ice bucket going, and we just put the beers back. Yeah, it's fast. But many a wild night with those lads. One story I can tell you is we played against Galway Corinthians one year down in Galway, and we decided to rent a house in like an Airbnb in Galway, like with 12 or 13 of the lads, and it was this unreal house on the river there. Like we don't know how they let us take it, but like we all rocked up there, and yeah, it was epic. Like we had won the game, but it wasn't like our best performance. But everyone was just so much looking forward to the afters. You know, like, it was class, and got back there, had a couple beers, headed out into the town. Yeah, the the bar staff at every single pub weren't enjoying us because we were loud and obnoxious. Every pub we went to, like, it would be like a crowd of like 7 or 8 of us, and every single pub we went to in Galway, they just kicked us out because like they were like, these guys are gonna cause trouble. So yeah, we ended up at like DNA, I think it's called.
Oh yeah, I know it well.
Yeah, it was
A regular customer.
It was an epic night. It ended pretty badly for me. I mean, I ended up losing all my mates in Galway. I've never ever been to Galway before. My phone battery was dead. I was hammered. I ended up walking, like trying to walk home, and I ended up in some industrial estate. Like, this is when I started to like get a bit more sober, and like ended up in this industrial estate, like in the middle of nowhere, phone dead. It was like 2 a.m, pitch black everywhere, like cars driving past, and I'm just like pissed on the side of the road. Ended up luckily flagging down a taxi, and I was like, please, like, help me, like I don't know where I am, like I'm from South Africa, I'm just staying here for the night, please, can you take me back to my Airbnb? And thankfully he had a charger in his car, so he took me via McDonald's, went to McDonald's and went back to the house. And when I got back to the house, it was absolute carnage. Like, people were topless everywhere. Just like,
You'd probably be better off on the streets. You'd probably be better off. You'd probably be better off on the streets. Like,
exactly. Yeah, I ended up going to bed at like 4 or 5 in the morning. Yeah, that was a class night. That was my first Galway experience, and it was very much worth it. So
yeah. That's the Hangover 4. You're always scraping the barrel if you end up in DNA now. They're always the
is that
the
it?
messiest ones, so.
Ignorance is bliss. We didn't know that. It was actually good. But yeah, I had to drive home the next day, which wasn't too great. But I mean, yeah, it's all part of the experience. Yeah?
Exactly. Yeah.
I have to hit up Ollie next time you go.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, Bradley, after your success at Rainy Old Boys, you got the call up for Ulster. You pretty much came in during the height of COVID. What was that like in terms of training and socializing as well, getting to know the lads? Because
it was
good
good.
friend.
It was good. I mean, I must be honest. Like, I was living by myself in Macrofeld, and obviously I had friends in Macrofeld, but like, it was still tough because like you weren't really allowed to be doing any socializing and that sort of stuff. But so it was good. Like, all the lads were very welcoming. Like, yeah, I just got along with loads of boys really well. So it was good to go in there every day, and like, you know, you train hard and get to know the boys. And although you couldn't really go out for beers and stuff on the weekends, like, it was still good because I wasn't really, after being home in South Africa, I wasn't really like wanting to like party and stuff like that. I wanted to, like, I'm 25 now, so I wanted to sort of push on now. Like, I needed to start making moves. So I've been taking it very seriously. Like, I've been training very hard, and it was good, like, to meet all the lads and be spending time with all the boys that I wouldn't normally be spending time with, because we're in that environment, and just making the most of it, you know. Like, I would come home, like, it would be nice to actually come home and have a bit of alone time, but in the beginning it was really cool just to be a bit more social, you know, like, in that environment. Yeah. And even though the regulations in there are pretty strict, like, you have to wear your mask all the time when you're inside and stuff like that, it's still way better than just chilling in your house by yourself, you know. So yeah, I was thankful that it came around when it did.
And when you finally got integrated into the Ulster squad, you made your first cap like a couple of weeks after joining. What would the average day be like at Ulster at the moment for you?
So normally we like start at 8:45. We have movement health, which is like just a bit of mobility work. Then breakfast is from 8 to 9. Quite often there's a meeting during breakfast, like a scrum meeting to like cover the team we're playing for the next weekend, and go through how they scrum and or line outs, what their line out processes are, and how we're gonna attack them. You know what I mean? And after that, we like either have a gym session or we have another meeting, like a unit meeting, probably like with all the forwards. And then we go through our obviously our game over the weekend. We review that, and then we go over the week's lineouts, and then after that we would have the team meeting to like review the whole team, like how the team went on the weekend, and look forward to the next team we're playing. And yeah, then we would have a pitch session. Like we only have to drive like 5 minutes to Perry Park, it's called. And yeah, we have an hour and a half team session there. Come back, have lunch, and then gym after lunch, and then we're done for the day. So like we normally finish like it varies between like 2:30 and like 3:30, depending on if you're in the team or if you in the wheelers, which is like the guys who train against the main team, you know. So it's always very competitive. Like there's always two teams going at it, and although it's not full contact, it's like you obviously that's your chance to show yourself. You know, you want to be making the most of it. You know, like proving yourself, and that's basically. They obviously know most of the guys in that setup. I was still new, so I had to prove to them that I was good enough for them to want to keep me. You know, so yeah, and so I was as I said, I've been training really hard, and it's paying off. You know, hopefully more game time sooner. Hopefully.
Yeah. It's probably an easy question, next one here, Brad, but who's your best friend on the Ulster squad?
It's a hard one to say. Like I've got loads of good mates. Like me and Tom now. I moved in with Tom like a month ago, and like we've become really close. I get along really well with him. I've got another like group of mates, like the guys who play Call of Duty with, Albie Mathewson and Gareth Milicinovich and Craig Gilroy. Like we're all very close. Garrett's another South African boy, so like we've been making biltong together, which is like a South African meet. It's good to like get to know Albie as well, because I've been watching Albie like since I was a kid. You know, like always like Albie playing Super Rugby, and like that was class for me to meet him and get to know him. Like he's one of my good mates now. So, and Ian Madigan's another one who I get along with very well. Like we have a lot of fun together.
I've heard some stories about Ian. From Mike Laurie especially.
Nah, he's a legend. Yeah, I heard that story. Oh, that story made me laugh. The one with the GPS. That was classic. Yeah. So but like other than that, I get along well with loads of guys. You know, it's not just those guys would be the guys I would spend most of my time with.
Yeah.
But like all the lads get along well. No one really doesn't like anyone else, and they're just all solid guys. You know, it's not like. No one thinks they're better than anyone or anything like that. It's obviously a very competitive environment as well. So, yeah, like you would think that there would be a bit more hostility, but there really isn't. Like everyone wants the team to do well, you know. But yeah. So yeah.
The big question: who's the best at Call of Duty then, apart from yourself?
It was a tough one. We're all pretty good, I must say. Like we're not great. Okay, we're not great, but we do. Like, probably Gareth Milicinovich is probably like up there. He takes it very seriously. He has all the gear though. Like spend like 300 quid on just this pair of headphones and
yeah, he's one of those ones.
Scuffed controller, imagine.
Yeah, he loves it. But yeah, we all have our days. Like Call of Duty is a tough old game. Like some days you have a great day, and then like other days you just get smoked. So it's like life, really, isn't it? Like some days you have a great day, and some other days you don't have such a great day. So very much reflective of life, you know.
Exactly. So just to bring it back to the rugby sort of things, and actually sort of for a Lions focus. So they're obviously going to South Africa this year, and there's a lot of talk about them playing at altitude. I'd imagine you've experienced that before, and just wondering, because I've never done it myself, how much of an advantage is that for the Springboks, and what's it like to play this?
I mean, it is a big difference. I don't think it makes that much of a difference at this level because, you know, everyone's just so conditioned and well trained, you know. So, look, the Lions will have a good chunk of their camp in Joburg, which is at altitude, and that's where they'll be playing two of the tests. So, I mean, they'll be well prepared for it. It won't affect them that much. But the inside knowledge, like that'll probably be the big thing. Like you can kick a lot further at altitude. And Pollard, like Andre Pollard, he's just come back from ACL, but he's back, and like he knows. Well, obviously he's from South Africa, so he knows the conditions very well. He was at the Bulls for a while, which is also at altitude. So, I mean, they back themselves from a long way out. It's just whether that the guys from the Lions will be able to back themselves because they're not used to kicking from those sort of distances, And obviously, kicking's a massive part of Test match rugby. So, but I'm sure they'll get their bearings as soon as they get over. I mean, they want to go there and win, so they're going to be as prepared as they can be. So I think they'll be fine. To be fair, like it'll be tough in the beginning, but once you acclimatize, once they've got a couple conditioning sessions under their belts, they'll be fine.
Well, glad to hear it.
Yeah. Talking about conditioning, you mentioned earlier that you were hitting the gym quite a lot to get into the shape for a professional rugby player. What's your PRs for the bench, squat, and deadlift, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't really deadlift. We don't do much deadlifting. It's not really the best for your back. So we do a lot of bench and squatting. My squats, like I'm very short, so my squatting should be good. But I would say my full range, we don't really do full range squatting, we mainly do box squatting, but I'd say full range probably around 210 kgs.
Yeah.
And bench is like 160, 165. I haven't really done much benching, but
that's huge.
Yeah, like a guy who is an absolute behemoth in the gym is Gareth Milicinovich. Oh my god.
What he shifts
like his knees are buggered, so he doesn't squat much, but his bench is outrageous. Like for a guy who doesn't like the gym, like he just 2 days ago, I think he was doing like 170 for threes on the bench. Like I was like, and like I would bench a lot with him, and I just it's like a sight for sore eyes. You can't believe it when he does it. Like he was doing 160 for 8 or 140 or 160 for 8 the other day. Like bro, he is ridiculously strong. It's not even a joke. Like I'd say his max is like 190 now, 190, 200.
That's freakish.
Yeah, he's a freak.
Nearly as good as Graham.
I'm not too bad at the squat myself. I can imagine Tom, your flatmate, being pretty good as well.
Yeah,
is
he's
he
still
the same,
young.
really?
He's still quite young, so I mean, no one really goes too hard because the weeks are always short turnarounds, So you don't want to really be like hurting yourself in the gym and then not being 100% for the weekend, So, but he's a strong boy. I must say that he's a very strong boy, well-rounded in his strength. Like he's got a strong bench, very strong squat as well. He's a strong lad. Big boy for 22.
Yeah. He's one of our favorite players.
Huge.
So that's a very nice lid you have, Brad. Do you want to talk to us about it?
Eh?
Do you want to talk to us about it? Who inspired you to get it? Just yourself?
To be fair, like I was growing my hair out for a while. Like I had it really short, and like in 2019, I think it was. 2019, when we won playoff promotion, I shaved it all off, and I had very short hair for that game. And then I was just like, should I just grow it out? And I was just growing it for a while. Then actually, my dad passed away in September 2019, and like he grew his hair really long when he was my age. So I was like, like a nice little touch might be to just grow it out for a while and see what happens. And it's very curly, so it took ages to actually go beyond a little ginger afro. But it was. So I grew it for like a year and 7 months, and I didn't touch it at all, and it was long. It was like my fringe was like down past my chin, and like I played my first cap against Edinburgh, and it was all out of my scrum cap. And the only reason I was wearing the scrum cap was to hold my hair back. Then I was getting a bit over it because it was such high maintenance, and you just can't play rugby with long hair, like especially with hair as thick as mine, because it just goes everywhere. And I was like, well, I can't really cut it all off without getting a mullet first. So that was basically my inspiration. And like mullets are pretty in thing at the moment, so I just got it and I was I loved it. Excuse my language. But,
what sort of product are you using to keep that so luscious?
Zero product.
Oh, zero product.
All natural.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the best way forward.
Yeah.
I just got my one dreadlock here to show for it. This is my pride and joy. The one dreadlock. Everyone hates it, but I'm like, why? I love it. It's my I can't cut it off. It'll just hurt me too much.
Part of you.
It's part of me now.
Brad, you've already achieved quite a lot in rugby. You're playing for Rainey, playing for Ulster, got a professional contract. What's your ambitions for the future, and where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years' time?
I don't know. Like at the moment, I'm just taking every day as it comes. I think I have higher aspirations than I actually think. I think I'm good enough to play international rugby. Obviously, I'm still new. I'm still getting my bearings. But I have all the attributes to be able to do it. You know what I mean? Like I've got the physical game. I've got the pace. I've got the strength. My scrumming is good. My line-out throwing is very much improved. And I'm just going to get better. I think the longer I'm in the environment, the better I'm going to get. And I've always been a naturally gifted sportsman. Like I've always been good at rugby, cricket, soccer, all sorts of sports. So I like sports in my blood. So I don't know. Like I'm Welsh qualified. I had an offer to go back to Wales this year, but I turned it down to go play for the Dragons because I just thought I'd rather be in the Ulster setup. I've done well now, so I want to prove myself in this environment, and whereas the coaches are really starting to trust me here, and so I don't know, like I'm not Irish qualified at the moment, but I'm working on that, but I'm definitely Welsh qualified, so we'll see. Hopefully it's for Ireland, but I do want to play international rugby. That is a goal of mine. It's always been a goal of mine. Obviously, when I was younger, it was obviously for South Africa, but that didn't really play out. So now it's either Ireland or Wales. But we'll see. Only time will tell. So you got to have a bit of luck on your side as well. Got a bit of luck on my side to get where I am now. Also through hard work and performances, but you make your own luck. But we'll have to see.
Well, we'll cheer you on either way. But hopefully it's in green because
hopefully it's in green. Who knows?
We'd love to see it.
So nextly, I'm a bit obsessed with the Lions at the moment, as you can tell. But straight up, just who do you think will win the series this summer?
South Africa.
South Africa. 2-1 or 3-0.
That's the blunt and honest truth. It's hard enough to beat South Africa for any team. I mean, like the Lions are going to be a good side. But I think South Africa just have too many, especially off the back of our World Cup. I don't think there's a lot of complacency in there. I think they've all been looking forward to the Lions series now. I think it'll be close enough, Look, I don't want it to be a draw like what happened in New Zealand. That was terrible. Like it was a terrible ending to the whole thing. But yeah, I think South Africa will catch it though. To be honest, like they've got too many big guns. The Lions will be stacked, obviously, as they always are. But yeah, playing South Africa at home is just a different ball game, I hope there's fans there as well. That would be a big game changer as well, because the fans make a huge difference, But yeah, if there's no fans, it'll even the playing fields a lot more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, South Africa's an unreal team at the moment. It'll be hard to beat.
Yeah, they do. Now Pollard's fully fit as well, so yeah, he's playing. I think he's playing in the final against Leicester Tigers this 2 weekends time. So should be interesting. Do
you reckon Marcel Coetzee will make the?
Look, I hope so. Like he's had a really tough road, and he's a great player. Like he's been a stalwart for Ulster for a number of years when he's been available, But yeah, there's a lot of competition in the back row in South Africa. It'll be tough. But I think he's done he may have done enough. You know, like the Bulls being interested in him is a big say as well, because they wouldn't have brought him back if they didn't believe in him.
Yeah.
And Jake White's obviously coached the Bucks before. The Bulls is going to be a tough team to beat next year in the Pro 14, Pro 16. I can tell you that. Like they're going to be stacked. So yeah, but I hope Marcel makes it. He deserves it. Like he's been working really hard, and he's just a really good guy. So I really hope he makes it. It'll top off his career. Like you know.
Definitely.
I think he may have played against the Lions last time for the Bucks. I don't know. Maybe he did. I don't know. He may have made that side. You know. Back in 2008, I think.
I think he
2009,
played
yeah.
a few games
Well,
for them.
2009.
Yeah.
He's been around the block for a long time.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
Been around the block.
He's so good.
He's so good.
Just pre-match and post-match, who would be on the tunes at Ulster? Who would try to get on it and play their music?
It varies a lot. Like Marty Moore, he's got some bangers. Like he comes with the tunes always. Tom O'Toole also, he comes with some very indie, like different stuff, but it's also very good. And then it chops and changes. Like boys will just take up the boys have a good playlist for like pre and post game to get the boys psyched, and then post game to celebrate the victory. So it's all good. Like no one really is very judgmental of the tunes, as long as it's a good tune. Like no one really say anything.
Yeah.
Like there's no boys stealing the walks and stuff like that. So.
And final question I've got here from us is, who, in one word answer, who's the GOAT rugby player?
Pardon?
Who's the GOAT rugby player?
Huh.
This is a tough one.
There's so many players to think of. I'm not gonna say Johnny Sexton because he's not the guy.
Yeah.
Look, I'm trying to think now. There's a load of players coming to my mind. The GOAT, I would have to say, is probably Richie McCaw, because no one wants to play against him. You know? Like he was such a destroyer in his time, and he did so much good for the All Blacks.
Yeah.
And he was a beast. You know, like he was a great rugby player and a good leader. So I'll have to say Richie McCaw. I'm actually quite bleak. I never said a South African now, but
That's a good pick.
Yeah.
He's a very good pick.
We've had three New Zealanders picked actually out of 3 interviews.
Yeah.
Really?
Jonah Lomu, Carter, and now Richie McCaw. So
Yeah. 3 generics like that. That's that go to, isn't it? People have to say those guys.
Yeah.
they're the best for a reason.
Yeah.
They are good. Yeah. They were very good.
Yeah, I think that's all our questions. Just as a thank you, Brad, for coming on.
No worries, man.
Graham, do you want to take it away?
Yeah. So Brad, I wrote you a poem. If that's alright.
Yeah, just work away.
Okay. We love your hair, we love your step. You're the next Rory Best, just with the hair. You love a try, you love a break. We love what you do for Ulster and hope you do too. You're born at Bach, but now you're in Ireland. We hope to see you in a green jersey in time to come.
Cheers, Graham.
No problem.
I think I'll have to down my white cup for that one.
Yeah, I agree, Tyler.
Go for it. Sure, we'll all go for it.
Lovely, man.
Yep.
Cheers, boys.
Thank you very much, Brad.
Cheers, Brad.
Thanks for having me, yeah? It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Yeah, very
thanks
good to have you
for
on.
coming on. And thank you, Graham, for that lovely poem and good questions.
Yep, no problem. Thanks very much, Chappy. It was nice to meet Brad.
And thanks, Ollie, for coming on as well and being great as always.
No worries, Chappy. And thanks, Brad. You were brilliant.
Cheers, boys. Cheers,
Cheers, Brad.
Thanks for having me.